Anybody raise your hand if you've heard of the Big Sky Documentary Film Festival before? Few hands? Not too many of you. This is our 16th year running the Big Sky Documentary Film Festival, and every year we partner with Inspired Classroom so we can tap into schools not in Missoula, all surrounding around the state, to be able to watch films and interact with their filmmakers. And today we have a super special film in store for you today. We have the filmmaker Chris-Anne Hessing, who's here all the way from Toronto, Canada, which is on the east side of North America here, and it's pretty cold, I'm sure. So I'm going to introduce her. She might want to say one or two things before we play the film for you, but if you can give her a nice welcome, maybe say, "Hi, Chris-Anne," and she's right here with me.
Hey, you guys. Hi. This is so cool. I've never done anything like this before, but I'm so happy to meet all of you guys and have you see my film called Turning Tables about a DJ from Toronto. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you like the music, and I'm here to answer any questions you'll have after the screening. So, yeah.
And as Ali said, make some notes as you watch, because we'll ask you about what you thought of the film after the film. So maybe note, what does Josh say is important to him? How does he incorporate his, his history and his roots into his music? Little things like that. So we'll tap in and we'll ask you after the film. But we were really excited to hear about your thoughts, and thank you so much for all the schools that are able to join. And without further ado, we should get going, yeah?
Yeah, let's watch this
Wonderful. Excellent. Okay, we are going to go ahead and...
So, hi, Lodge Grass.
Is that live? Oh, they know us. Yeah.
We can see you.
We've got Arlie, Dixon, and Lodge Grass.
and one other school.
And who else joined us?
Me. Yeah.
You? Yeah, I see you. If everybody could mute their microphones, please. Mute your microphones so that we can watch the show.
Yep, we're going to watch the show
movie.
and then questions away. So, great. Well, let's bring Chris-Anne back on. So, as I pull this up, let's hear some initial reactions to... Hi, they're excited to see you. Initial reactions to the film. Let's see. Thumbs up. What did you guys think? Did you like it? Oh, like double thumbs up over there.
Yeah, statement.
Hey, Lodge Grass, give us some thoughts from the film.
Go ahead, Victor. Let's go.
Let's go.
I have to say it. What should I say?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Did you like it?
What do you
Did you
think,
like the
Victor?
music?
Yeah, do you like the music, Vic?
I don't know. It was alright. I don't like that kind of music. You come here, then.
Come on. Say something, guys, please.
What do we say?
What do you think?
What do I think about what?
The music.
Well, the film and the techno and
It was alright.
well, it was his only way out.
Yeah, he did his own thing,
He was
and
him.
he liked it.
He was him.
So he's yeah.
How about you, Damon? What do you think? You have your own regala, do you? No? Who has their own regala?
She does.
Okay. Tyressa, you got your own regala.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the film?
Here, come sit right here.
It's cool. Come on, get up there.
It's right there.
I'm saying like here. It's kind of like how he has his own colors. Like each of his colors has a meaning to it.
Okay.
I love that. Yeah, Arlie, do you wanna share a reaction with us?
Harley.
Hey, they beat you up.
Come on, guys.
Oh.
Say that again, Arlie.
Talking about Arlie, boy. Come on.
Hi there.
Lodge Grass is going to have to move them.
Yeah, Lodge Grass, move your microphone so we can hear Arlie. And then, let's see, I know we've got Dixon. Dixon, would you like to share anything with Chris-Anne? What?
What do you think about the movie?
It was very great. I love
awesome.
music. It was good. I like the music.
It was
I saw some of you guys dancing. So that's great.
I love it. What school do we have down in the left-hand corner that has a blue wall that says empowered? Yeah, you guys, exactly.
Where?
What did you guys think?
Oh, all right, Ronan. What are your thoughts?
Oh.
I think they're still in a little shock. They really enjoyed the movie. Watched some of it yesterday, kind of previewed it with them, and they really had some really good stuff that they found in the film, so they were excited.
They're being shy today on camera.
Yes, they are.
You know, I wonder, we have a lot of schools on that are from different reservations and tribes. How many of the students participate in dance or drumming? Raise your hands.
Nice.
How many are on the powwow trail in the summer? Awesome. Okay. Great. Well, let's go ahead and, Chris-Anne, do you want to tell this movie?
Yeah, so, well, you guys saw for yourself just how talented Josh is at dancing and music and working with other musicians. And the idea came when he invited me to see him perform. And at that point, I did not know that he was a fancy dancer. I just knew that he was a DJ. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go see my friend DJ a show, no problem. And as soon as I got there, he not only was an amazing DJ, but he was in his regalia and then breakdancing in his regalia to techno music at this club in Toronto. And the audience, like, everyone was loving it. He got everyone on the dance floor, and the feeling just was so powerful and fun that I was like, we need to do this again, but on camera, and like make a movie out of it. And so that's how we did it. In fact, he does have a message for you guys.
He just sent us an email, you guys. So I'm gonna switch. Yeah, Classic Roots sent an email just for you. So we're gonna just switch this over, make sure that this play comes up the way I want it to. Yep. Okay. Here it is. Make it big and oh, I better turn my volume up. Hold on, everybody. Oh, it's at 100. Good.
What up, everybody? This is Classic Roots. Unfortunately, I'm really sad that I won't be able to make it to the film, but I hope you guys enjoy it. You can reach me on SoundCloud, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music. Just type in Classic Roots. Shout out to my sisters, Chris-Anne and Tanya, holding down for Turning Tables Doc, and Miigwech. Love you guys. See ya.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Josh really wanted to be here, but that's his message to you guys, and we're just so happy to be able to screen it to you guys and hear what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and start with some questions. We're going to open it up to some questions. And if you are on the live stream, make sure to type those questions in because we want to hear from you as well. So we're going to go ahead and move through. And I'm going to start with Dixon today. So we're going to go Dixon, Arlie, Ronan, Lodgegrass. That's the order that we'll move in. So if...
How did you put the music together?
So that was actually a lot of fun to do, putting the music together. Josh had already made all these songs, and he didn't release them anywhere. So they weren't on iTunes or Spotify or anything yet. And he said, I have all this music. What should we do with it? And I said, great, we can put that in the documentary as well. And I'm not sure, I wonder if you guys noticed that every single scene in the film has his music in it, whether it's on the soundtrack or it's live like in the concert hall or when they're in the studio, you know, creating that song together. So yeah, music was a very big part of it, and Classic Roots was all over the soundtrack. So yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Who was next?
So next we're going over to Arlie.
So my question was like, where where did you guys actually shoot the film?
Yeah, good question. So we traveled to a few places across Ontario. We did shoot a bunch of it in Toronto, but then also in Thunder Bay, which is where Josh is from, and that's where his parents are. And then we also went to his hometown community of Long Lac 58 First Nation, which was about a 4-hour drive north of Thunder Bay. So lots of road trips and flights across the province, but it was all really important to be able to tell his story, so that's what we did, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
in the movie it said Berlin, that's where we need to be, that's where the techno is the biggest. We didn't know Berlin was so famous for techno music. Do you know why it became so famous for techno music?
That's a great question, and I didn't know about it either. And actually, just someone told me last night that Berlin is full of DJs, aspiring DJs, established DJs. A lot of DJ equipment is manufactured and produced in Berlin. So if that's where the equipment is, the people will follow, and they have techno clubs and house clubs that start at 4 a.m. and go until like noon. So they rave like 24 hours a day. And so there's definitely, that's a city that loves techno, and it's called the techno capital of the world, actually. So that's why Josh decided he needed to be a part of it.
Nice. Will you get a chance? Will you get? Hold
go
on
ahead.
before that. Will you guys get a chance to go there and do more follow-up with the documentary?
Yes, I think so. When I first made the film and he told me he was going to go to Berlin and move there, I didn't know anything about that. And I was like, wait, we're making this documentary. Where are you going? And I need to go too. But, so, there was that time where we were like not sure how the film would end, but we thought, that's a great way to leave it, because it doesn't end with Berlin either. Classic Roots is now going to go to Japan next month. He films wherever he goes as well. So, that's why when he said follow him on Instagram and all that, it's a good idea, because the film continues through his social media.
Oh, how did the people in Berlin react to his music?
Yeah, there were, that also another great question. There were a few people that were just like shocked at not only just seeing his regalia, but the way he danced in it too, pulling like cartwheels and back handstands and all kinds of things. But Josh did say that there were several occasions where it was an opportunity to educate. There was one man in particular who came up to him and he was like, I think it's really great that you're here, but can you tell me what is the appropriate terminology for your people? And I thought that was a really great chance for Josh to tell this man about his culture and his language and his community. So yeah, he definitely did get a chance to educate while he was there.
So I have a question from the live stream. Where did he grow up?
Yeah, so in the film he does say that he was born and raised in Thunder Bay, but he would go travel back to Long Lac quite often, and he did the power trail with his parents too. And then he moved to Toronto, maybe it was like 8 years ago now. And at the time he had moved with like something like $1,500, and that was it. And he showed up in Toronto. He was like, how am I going to do this? And he found a way. And now he's making a living being a DJ and a dancer. So yeah, it's been pretty cool.
I'm curious if any of you are musicians. If you a thumbs up or thumbs down, it can be a musician in any respect, whether it's drumming, singing, playing the piano, playing in the band.
Awesome, yeah.
A bunch in Arley. We've got a bunch of musicians in Arley. Let's see, a couple of them in Ronan. Lodgegrass, any musicians there? Or aspiring musicians?
Chris-Anne,
Yeah,
I had a question about what your background is and how you got into filmmaking.
Yeah, so my background, I went to film school, and that's when I first started learning about film, but I'll tell you, it wasn't until grade 12, my final year of high school, I did not know what I wanted to do. And my parents were like, you need to pick a profession and pick a career, and what university are you going to? And so I was just scrolling through the programs, the endless programs, and I came across film school, and at that point I didn't even know that there were schools that taught film. It was like that, and I was like, sounds like fun. Movies, making movies, like, yeah, let's do it. And I came from a high school that didn't really spend a lot of time encouraging the arts or having opportunities like even this to see art films, and so that's why I think this is super great. Yeah, so I went to film school, and I made the right decision because it is a lot of fun. And since then I've just been working, and in fact the reason why we made this film was because I met Josh working on another film, and it was a dance film. He was hired as a dancer, and I was on the crew. And so yeah, like my working in the film industry led to making this film.
I have a comment from the live stream, and one of the classes is saying how they've been having a conversation about how there are so many different languages, and yet how alike people are across the world, and how music is one way that we can understand each other, and use that to bridge that gap between languages. And so that was a lovely sentiment about that they took away from this movie. I'm wondering from the other classes that we're on, what was something that was very important to you that you pulled from the movie, something that maybe surprised you, or something that just left you feeling some emotion? Because I think that's part of what we're doing as filmmakers and as audiences, is trying to interact with the film. So I see a hand down in Dixon, so we'll start with Dixon. We'll go through that same order: Dixon, Arlie, Ronan, Lodgegrass.
Something that inspired you? Head on up there to the... Sure. What was one thing like the show?
The music.
So do I.
You really like the music?
Mhm.
Yeah. Have you guys heard anything like that before? Listen to A Tribe Called Red at all? Or any other indigenous electronica?
Oh, I see a couple.
Yeah, it's cool, huh?
It is.
Love it.
All right, go ahead, April, but you gotta get up there and say it loudly. Okay? Yep, go ahead. So ask her, or tell your statement.
What was your favorite part? I liked where they did the concert near the trailer in the forest.
Yeah. That concert was a really fun concert to do because DJ Shub and Classic Roots were opening for Post Malone. I don't know if any of you know. Yeah. Okay. Great. That's awesome. So I didn't know who he was, and I met Post Malone, and I was like, "Can we film in your dressing room?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." and I didn't know anything about what the concert was, just that Josh was performing, and it was sold out, and there were it was a packed audience, and people had a great time. I think Post Malone liked the music too. So yeah, it was really fun to shoot that one.
I noticed a couple hands in our lead. Was there somebody else that wanted to share something?
Okay, go ahead, Cart.
Okay.
Just
Come on, kids.
come up a little. You can just talk loud from where you're at.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you can.
It was the part where he was like breakdancing. My friends and I laughed.
Do you guys like to breakdance? Any breakdancers?
Yeah.
Yeah? Nice. It's not easy.
All right, Ronan. Was there anything surprising or something that caught you that really stuck out in your minds?
We were just talking about how, as she was growing up, the respect for the regalia and how that stood out in her mind, because that's why she's been raised the same way.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. It was when Josh told me that he mends his own regalia, I thought that's such a beautiful way to talk about preserving culture, right? And really just respecting your heritage and where you come from. And so that's why when he told me about that, I was like, first of all, I didn't know that you could sew, but that's awesome. Another skill that Classic Roots has. And then, yeah, we were able to film him mending his regalia. And it's very important to him. He's actually upgraded his regalia. He's got like a totally new look now. I think he's still working with an artist to finalize the details, but he might be debuting that new regalia in Japan. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how that is.
I liked how his regalia, the colors had all different meanings.
Yeah, he it's beautiful colors, you know, like really neon bright, and it catches your eye, especially when you're in like an underground nightclub and you see that in there. But the meanings behind them is just it's beautiful. And yeah, thanks for that comment.
Wonderful. So, as a filmmaker, when you're shooting a film that has one person in it, a main star, I guess, as opposed to, we watched a film this morning about whales. There's a little bit more of an intimacy between, you know, filming a person than, say, filming the whale. What is it like to, as I was watching, like he's walking down the street and, you know, it's sort of like he knows you're there, but you don't really know that you're there. What is it like to film a person like that?
Yeah, well, like, what was great for us is that Classic Roots is a performer, and when he dances, he's used to having cameras in his face or smartphones in his face and people Instagramming and tagging him and things. So it wasn't difficult at all to get him to cooperate. Yeah, he was just like, more cameras, the better. Like, do you want me to do that again? I'll do it again. I'll do it 5 times. And he, like, you saw how much dance there was in the film. Like, he always, you know, was very cooperative to be like, do you want me to dance in the subway? I'll dance here. I'll dance on this mountain. I'll dance wherever you want. And so, yeah, it was very easy. But, you know, like with any story where you're working with a person to help tell their story, it has to be based on trust, a relationship built on trust. And so it was the first half of the year that we made the film was without any cameras. It was just us hanging out and grabbing coffee or seeing a movie. And it turned out to be really awesome when we found out we have so many things in common. And now we're just really great friends who made this movie together. So, yeah, and I mean, something that was important to me as well was to always check in with him when we were filming, to just make sure that he's okay with like where the cameras are rolling and when. But yeah, you know, he was very willing to participate and eager.
How long did the film take to make, and were you the only camera person, or did you have other people there?
Yeah. So I think from beginning to like when I had the idea to when we finished the film was 1 year, and that was the year of 2017. And for the first, like, I had applied for some funding for a short film grant in Canada, and it took about half a year for them to tell us that we got it. But at that point, Josh was already doing these amazing things. So before we got the funding, I was with him with my little dinky camera that I borrowed from my friend, and I would travel with him to Thunder Bay. So there was a lot of, you know, risks that I took to do that. But by the time the film got funding, we were able to get an amazing crew, like some of the best talent in Canada to work on it. So the camera guy is like a veteran in Canadian cinematography, and even the editor. These are all people more experienced than I am. This is one of my first short films, but it was important to me to use it as an opportunity to get mentorship just like Josh gives mentorship to the kids, you know, like for us on the crew, we were working with more established filmmakers to help us tell the story the best way we could.
That's fantastic. Let's go for another round of questions. We have maybe 7 minutes left before I know we have to go. So let's see. I'm not sure if Dixon is still there. Their camera went off. They may be changing classes. So let's go ahead and start with Arlie.
So how much work did it take into making that?
That's a very good question. A lot of work is the short answer. Me and the crew all had full-time jobs that were not this film. So to make this film, a lot of us had to work after work, come home late at night, and then work on this. And so, you know, it took a long time as well, but it was just fun. We're all friends who made the film, so it never felt like work. And so, yeah.
She asked about the cost of the film, and then also the type of lighting that you needed, like equipment-wise. Were you taking a portable system, or are you just using natural lighting?
Yeah, these are some amazing questions. You guys are like, what a great audience. So the cost of the film, yeah. So the grant that we ended up getting to make the film was $50,000 to make this short film. And that went towards the travel to get between the different communities we shot in, paying the crew and the artists, paying Classic Roots for his music, and DJ Shub, who you saw, what was the second part of the question?
The lighting.
Oh yes, the lighting. Yeah. So the great thing about documentary is that you can make a film with not a lot of gear. Although because we were working with such an experienced cameraman, he came with like 2 like full throttle cameras, like the ones that you put on your shoulder. 2 of those, a drone, which you saw in some of the drone shots. So. Back on the res, and also a camera that could be put on the dash of the front of a car. So we got a lot of like road trip shots too, which actually didn't make it into the film. But we had a lot of camera equipment, no lighting equipment at all. That was all natural lighting, and the colorist that we worked with was able to punch up all the colors afterwards, like after the edit was done, and that's when the film really came to life because it's super colorful.